Smudger, welcome to the Granite Zero podcast. It's been a long time coming. We've had this in the works for
Thanks
ages,
for having
mate.
me, man. It has. It's
Ages.
been weekend on, weekend off, forever. It's just been fucking really busy.
Yeah, to be fair, we've both been pretty busy, mate. Like I said, before we even hit record, I'm not going to give certain things the time of day today, so we're just going to gloss over that and let the haters hate, and we're going to continue on the path of righteousness.
Positive vibes, dude.
It is, mate. Positive vibes only, especially on the Granite Zero podcast, because that's what we like. But for those that don't actually know you, who are you? Obviously, you're Smudger. What's the story behind the Smudge?
So basically, joined the army when I was 18. Joined the Royal Artillery, and then later on went on to do 473 Special OP battery selection. I was like 2004. Failed 2004, went on to 2005. Passed that one, and then later on got out in 2011 and went on the circuit. Did several years on that. I think I did about 4 or 5 years, and then jumped off that and came home and just tried finding my way back home.
You find it a bit of a struggle to find your way back home? Like you said, you went on the circuit, and for those of you that don't know, that's usually sort of close protection abroad, that sort of thing. Doing the alley bits, as a lot of people would say. Did you find it to struggle back into? So you went from the military into obviously carrying firearms as part of a close protection team, I'm assuming. And then did you struggle to put all those behind and then crack on with a regular human job, as you might say?
It slightly was, dude, at the time, because there was a lot going on. The company I was working for, we were unaware of this, but there was things going on at government level back with it was a US company I was working for.
Yeah.
And there was stuff going on government level within the Afghan government. And basically, April 2014, it was just kind of a wind up to it all, and it was like, right, pack your bags, you're going home. Just bought a house.
Fucking hell.
I had steady way savings, so I was covered financially for about a year. And then it was just a case of fucking getting on a flight and going home. It was quite stressful.
I bet it was.
Because it was like, what am I going to do now? Tried getting back out on the circuit with other companies. And at that time, the army was doing redundancies as well. So there was although I had experience as a team leader working on DoD, so Department of Defense projects for the US government.
Yeah.
Although I had that experience, and a lot of my experience was Afghan, it was still quite hard, mate, because there was a lot of people just floating about.
That's the thing with a lot of people don't realise, like myself included. When I left, obviously I did a CP course to try and get onto the circuit. I did executive, so mine would have been more high-end bankers, that sort of thing. But just trying to get any sort of job, it's like, have you got any experience in it? It's like, even like you just said, you had fucking oodles of experience, but it's like, have you got any experience? It's like, well, no, but I can't gain experience unless you're going to give me the opportunity to get experience. It's like it was a whirlwind. And then I ended up just doing your regular fucking security bod job, which I've now moved up the chain, which for me, fucking golden, mate. I'm actually quite enjoying my life at the minute. But yeah, the circuit's always been oversaturated with a lot of especially ex-squaddies, like.
Yeah, it is, mate. It's massively saturated, and again, as all these wars start to calm down, like we've pretty much left Iraq, bar a handful of troops from America, the US, and the coalition and stuff, training elements and special forces, obviously. But apart apart from that, we've pretty much pulled out of Iraq. We're at the stages of pulling out of Afghan, and the jobs are becoming thin on the ground. But unless you know somebody in the right place,
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of
at the right time,
who you know instead of what you know, especially in that sort of terms. Like I'm quite lucky now. I could probably slip into a job quite easily with the fact that my old man works as part of a household security team with quite a high up prince from a certain country that I won't disclose on here.
Yeah.
So I've been offered quite a few times, Tommo, do you fancy going to do this? Like, I would, but the reason why I left the military in the first place was to spend time with my wife and kids, not to go gallivanting away for weeks on end. Although the money would be fucking shit hot, I'm sure. But
yeah.
To just to move on away from sort of the military style topics that we could probably talk for fucking hours and days, and I'm sure, but obviously you managed to settle and sort yourself out a pretty decent little company that you got there. For those that don't know, that would be the Ali Redcoat Apparel, which I'm sporting today, as is Smudge, obviously. Love it, mate. Genuinely.
No, cheers, dude. Again, it was an aspiration since leaving the circuit, like sort of mid to late 2014. At the time, head was all over the place trying to find employment, not having, the money to invest. And obviously, with any business and any person wanting to jump into the business, it's kind of experience as well. I mean, all these new young entrepreneurs or people starting, there's a lot of people out there, in particular within the veteran community, who are sort of venturing off into their own business. You see it on Instagram's massive for it. You get to see all these companies, sprouting up from the ground, which is good to see. And people have got that ambition and drive to find something. One of which I kind of found myself lost when I came back. And one of the things I'll always say, if you're suffering with like mental illness, whether it's depression, PTSD, or whatever, like I've in particular see it with guys leaving, and being lost. I think it's because a lot of people see the military as like their passion, like a passion for soldiering or the job they were doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the job you're doing is kind of like, if you love your job, it's kind of finding that passion again, which is why I think a lot of people do go into working for themselves. Obviously, money, things like that. But finding a new passion, I think it helps head-wise.
Definitely. And I think I spoke about it with what's his fucking name? It's gone out of my head now. Oh, I only had him on the fucking show last week. Mine's gone fucking Robust Tours. We'll call him Robust Tours.
John.
That's it, John. Sorry, John. I know you listen. Had a fucking brain fart. I had a lot on. All right. But yeah, we were discussing about the different apparel sort of companies that have come out, and the reason why both myself and John are drawn to yours is the fact that it's not just a fucking skull on a fucking t-shirt with "I am Ali" or whatever. It's like you seem to get into the proper mindset of your designs, whether it's going way back to the Redcoat days of war fighting, or the Ali one with fucking Winston Churchill. It's different, and I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to it. Like for me, I was, as soon as I saw your stuff online, I was like, that's fucking brilliant. I need to get some of that. And then you do other things. You don't just do the fucking t-shirts and the hats. You've got fucking hair wax, which is brilliant, by the way.
Cheers, man.
And all that sort of stuff. It's like, this is a proper awesome. I'm not just saying it because you're on the show, but I fucking love it, mate. Genuine. Like when I first got your hat and the t-shirt, my missus was like, why have you bought another hat and t-shirt? I went, it's fucking brilliant. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, with the products, and cheers, dude. Like, I really do appreciate like the support. Again, everybody who purchases from, from the website and buys t-shirts and caps and all the other bits and pieces, like you're not only like supporting the business, but you're kind of like supporting my sort of dream and where I want to be. I mean, at this moment in time, we've been going for we're coming up 2.5 years now. We've been operational, selling the product, and we still to this day we don't take from the business funding wise. Everything just gets turned over and plowed back into it. And the reason for, especially at this moment in time, the reason for that is so that it survives, and so that we give it every opportunity to succeed. Which, mate, at this moment in time, it's fucking thriving. But that comes down to the customer as well, like the support. We've got some awesome people supporting us.
Yeah, mate. Well, it's just shows that you've taken your passion from one thing, and then it's when you're passionate about it, you strive to make it as good a product or as good a business, as good as a podcast as you want to take it. If you're passionate about it, you're going to keep fighting to make it the best that you can make it. And I just love the fact that it's all different, your stuff. It's not all a fucking Apache on the back, or like I said, a skull. I love the fact that you go back through history and find different avenues.
When we first started, sorry, dude.
No,
when we first started, we kind of lost. My head wasn't in a good place at the time, and seeing other companies pop up, doing what I want to do with regards to how the company was going to be, I kind of like put a lot of things on hold, and I was like, "Oh fuck it, I've got in too late."
Yeah.
All I'm going to be seeing is, another brand copying another brand, or it kind of like it put me on the back foot a bit. But the way I see it now is, regardless if somebody else is doing it, I mean, there's like a million companies out there fucking making t-shirts and putting designs on t-shirts.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's kind of like it's all about the meaning behind it. And if you can do something better, then you can do something better, then so be it. Don't be discouraged by what others are doing. I mean, on social media, mate, I just try to, as Alex from DevSoc would say, I just try to fucking be as, put myself in, have tunnel vision, so to speak, and just fucking don't look at what's going on around you. I'm just keeping my head down and doing my thing. I'm not bothered about what anybody else is doing, so to speak. Now, I'm just digging down and doing what I do.
And sometimes you have to be fucking selfish. Not saying that you're selfish, but you know what I mean. In terms of your product, your business. For example, like I could be in a fucking terrible place right now. We've discussed this before, and I'm not going to give too much light. I could be in a fucking shit state right now with some of the things that have been coming back at me, but I'm in a very good place mentally. The fact that I'm going to just solely focus on myself and what I'm still trying to achieve, which is I'm still trying to achieve fucking to be well away from these issues that I hold. I'm no longer taking my antidepressants, for example, because I didn't want to be reliant on little white pills to balance my mood. Because for one, they weren't balancing my mood; they were just making me fucking numb, and I didn't want to be numb. I wanted to be able to feel, as I'm sure you might know as well. Like I wanted to be able to feel my emotions, but still, if I knew I was going down, I would know that I'm not in a good place right now. I'll give fucking Smudge a tap. Smudge, I'm not in a good place, mate. Fancy a chat? Yeah, sure. But on antidepressants, I didn't even have any of that. I was very just numb, mate. It was fucking rats. So yeah, like I was saying, now I'm very much like you. I'm just going to be completely tunnel vision. This is my podcast. I'm going to be fucking still recording it. It's my ambition to spread the word, and that's what I'm going to fucking do. If I rub some people up the wrong way, then I do. You know what I mean? It's
you can't keep everybody happy, dude.
It's that fucking age old saying. Fucking opinions are like assholes. Everyone's fucking got one.
Exactly. Yeah. And
but we
if
digress.
people do, you've got like two types of people who like you and people who don't, and sadly the world's like that, isn't it? So
yeah, and
it is what it is, dude.
And like you just said, then, mate. Everyone. You're either gonna have someone who doesn't like you or someone who will like you. But unfortunately, everyone has now got a platform where they can voice their own opinion and spread hate and what have you. But fuck them.
Yeah, fuck him, dude.
But yeah, so just touching on the little things that I try and use now to keep myself fucking focused. I've gone back to using CBD oil. That's one of the things that I use, and obviously rocking the infusion that friends of the podcast and supporters of the podcast and what have you. But I know that you like to use other sort of substances to keep your mind active and going on different. You might want to say trips. Should we say trips?
I don't like, me personally. I don't use like trips. I don't use the word trip or anything like that because I don't know. It kind of comes with the stigma of
yeah. I get that.
What a lot of yeah. So it's more of an experience, or
that's a better way to say it, Smudge. Actually, experience. Like for example, I've never used any sort of psychedelic or anything like that because, well, let's just face it, because I'm fucking petrified, mate, of what would happen if I took one. But obviously, you've been on some experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like a newbie to sort of like the use of it. I mean, let's get it straight. It's a fucking class A drug as well. It's illegal. I mean, there's various forms of it. There's various ways you can use it, but there's a stigma that comes with it. But looking through it all, there's massive benefits to it, as well as negatives. Like anything, there's benefits and negatives to anything. I mean, and to be honest, like how I got around to sort of like the position I'm in with everything, you know, like you and a lot of other people, you know, I've had my share of issues since like 2014. I'll always say as coming home, because that's what I did. Like I came home and I haven't fucking ventured back off or tried to you know, to go back down that lifestyle that I had. And a lot of issues came up prior to that. Whilst working away, I've had issues and just being in denial. And my wife and my kids, like, no difference now to what I was. But I was on meds.
Same, mate. Same.
I was on all sorts of meds. They pushed me on like sort of the higher end of metazapine, which turned me into a zombie. Mate, when I was working and I was on like metazapine, mate, I couldn't even fucking count. Like I worked for a kit and equipment company.
Yeah, and you
couldn't even count.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I couldn't even count like stock or anything like that, mate. It just fucking it just turned me into a complete utter zombie. And I was on them for about 6 months. It was affecting my work. It was affecting me. I was struggling to get up, struggling to do phys. And they put me on sertraline, and I was on beta blockers. It was like anxiety every day.
Yeah.
And panic attacks, fucking all sorts, dude. I'm not going to go too much into it.
No, that's fine.
But yeah, I was having all sorts of issues. Then we remortgaged the property a couple of years back, which is how we sort of got into business. And also I used it for self-funding for therapy. So I went through self-funded therapy again, because combat stress and all these other, well, I won't say all of them, but in particular combat stress. Eventually, once I got diagnosed with PTSD, they pushed me through the NHS channels, and I couldn't afford to leave work to go have treatment. It was either treatment and get better, and treatment, get better and not get paid, or stay at work and try and find my own way, which is what I did.
When I went through, I was paying for my own therapy, and I was like, I just can't afford it. As much as it was helping, I only scratched the surface a little bit, and it was helping me to articulate what I wanted to say in terms of how I was feeling, because I was always locking it in because of the stigma behind it, like I always mention. And, you know, I shouldn't be feeling like this. I didn't see this, and this on tour. I didn't do this, and this on tour. Why am I feeling like shit? There's people that have done more things that should be feeling like shit, and they're not. They're all right. Why am I a cunt? Basically. So it wasn't until I did therapy, they opened me up a little bit. And then more so when I went and did the Inner Armour coaching, they opened me up some more and found a lot of hidden issues and problems that I had growing up. I just couldn't afford to keep going to therapy, basically. So I put on a bit of a persona and was like, oh, I've done therapy now, I'm fine now. But in reality, I probably should have done a load more sessions in hindsight. You know, as they always say, in hindsight, you have 20/20 vision, don't you? But it is what it is. And, you know, without going to the therapy, without doing that, I wouldn't have found a voice, and I wouldn't have had a fucking podcast, and I wouldn't be fucking sat chatting with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, therapy does work, and you know, it's done me wonders. It's the type of therapy and the therapist that that makes the difference. I mean, the therapist I was going to, it was working, but it wasn't 100%. So I kind of like chinned it off, quit my meds, because I was suffering with horrendous migraines, like chronic migraines every day for years, which led me on to an addiction to codeine. I was dropping codeine every day, which would chill me out. And I just stopped my meds, stopped drinking, which again is like a massive depressant as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I've been sober 2 years now.
Oh, congratulations.
So quit drinking. Am I gonna stop drinking forever? Probably not. I don't know. I'm happy. I'm in a happy place right now. I don't need the drink. But I was drinking a lot. Stop that shit. And at that time, I met one of the girls from Rock to Recovery through a friend, Sam. And Lee came up to the shop. We had a bit of a chat, and she could see there was like issues. We didn't talk about it. That wasn't a reason for coming up, but I managed to get into therapy with Rock to Recovery. And that was kind of like the changing point for me. Like the therapist was completely different, and the type of therapy. And I always thought Rock to Recovery was kind of off grounds with it being, you know, from Royal Marines. I thought it was kind of like all Royal Marines, when it's not. It's open for, but it's open to.
That's exactly what I thought, mate, as well. Until I actually spoke to him, and they were like, "No, we help all fucking cat badges," which is one of the reasons why. Just a complete fucking tangent here. This is one of the reasons why I've chosen them to raise money for our football match that we're doing, because of the amount of people they help, no matter what the fucking cat badge. It's like, they are predominantly from the Royal Marines charity, but they're like, we're all fucking inverted commas in a brotherhood or in a military family. Of course, we're going to help everybody. You know what I mean? Which is how it should be. But
hands
sorry,
down,
mate.
the best.
Just
no, it's all right.
Just cutting in.
Hands down, the therapy I've been into, mate, hands down. They dig out blind, and mate, honestly, that was the turning point for me and my family. But they also conduct therapy for families, so it's not just you suffering. I mean, at the end of the day, your family's suffering as well, because they're having to go through it as well. So yeah, family's been through it, and then afterwards, still kept up with a couple of therapy sessions. But I'd say during the last year, I'd been studying, about psychedelics, and one of the things that triggered it off was watching the likes of Joe Rogan, and which leads on to other people, who've done it, and the help it's give them. I mean, you've got a couple of companies or charities leading the way on it in the UK. You've got Heroic Hearts Project UK, which is kind of like little sister of Heroic Hearts in the US, who are doing like awesome stuff with maps, like the science behind psychedelics, helping people suffering with PTSD and depression and stuff. I mean, they send people away to various different sites throughout the world, and they go through ayahuasca ceremonies. Like Dave Radban went out with.
Yeah.
He did ayahuasca, but just doing loads of research on it is what got me into it. And obviously the next stage of it is having the balls to do it, and finding a source to get hold of it. I mean, that's probably one of the hardest things, is sort of committing to it and finding it. But once you've established those two, it then comes down to how you're going to conduct it, and where you're going to do it. It's all about setting. So having your head in the right place and finding a safe, comfortable location to do it, and also having somebody to watch over you who's sober and who you trust and who has an understanding of you. But yeah, that's kind of like where it all began, and benefits it's had for me. I'm not going to get into what I've taken. It's just a psychedelic substance.
Yeah. That's fine.
But for instance, my first experience, Jesus, mate, it utterly changed my thought process and what's been going on in my life, which leads me on to like another thing. It's helped me both physically and mentally. So from a physical standpoint of view, I was having like cluster headaches.
Yeah.
Like literally for 3 years because of it. I can't put my finger on it. I think it was the medication I was taking, and when I weaned myself off the medication, I was still having these migraines every day. And when I took my first dose of psychedelics, like that was completely utter gone, and I haven't had like a migraine since.
That's a fucking positive straight away. Like,
yeah, I mean, so those migraines are gone, which has lifted my mood that I'm not having them. And if you can do your own research, you can go read about these things, and it's scientifically proven that psychedelics will or can get rid of the cluster headaches.
It's like it unlocks your mind, doesn't it? In a way, it's like a little key. It's like, there you go, have a little bit extra of your own brain.
Yeah, I mean, so the science behind it all is, so you've got your conscious and unconscious. So you've got your left side, which is your conscious, and then you've got your right side, which is your unconscious. And the two work differently to each other. Obviously, your unconscious mainly it sort of collects images, whereas like your left side more verbally. which is the way like PTSD works as well. So your unconscious is collecting all these images of what you've been through, or it's locking away these bad experiences, and now and again your brain will chuck these things at you, or if you see something that's triggering, it'll fire it back at you. Now you don't have access to your unconscious, and with the psychedelics, so psychedelics mimic serotonin, and your serotonin is created from your gut, which again, it's you are what you eat. So if you eat healthy food, it's going to create positive, like good serotonin, which is then going to give you a good vibe, and then your serotonin attaches to your R2 receptors in your brain, so it mimics it, and it tells serotonin, fuck off, we're coming in, and like the psychedelic drug comes in, and then it virtually has fucking control over your conscious and unconscious, which is where all these things can come from, and it sort of unlocked various things, sort of feelings and what I'd had, not in a negative way. I haven't had like a negative experience, but the positives I've taken from it, or the message it was trying to send, was like to spend more time with my family and loved ones, and like not giving a fuck about what people think, various other things, like various other personal things, but it's lifted my mood. I don't like taking it the first time. I'd never. You don't get addicted to them or addicted to psychedelics or anything. It's kind of like you could just take it once, mate, and if it's done what it's needed to do, then you can just fucking walk away from it. It's like Terence McKenna. Terence McKenna, he was like a massive advocate of it, and he'd always say, like, once the call's finished, fucking hang up. So once you're done with what you need to achieve, then hang it up. Don't fucking continue. Now, I don't think I'm done with it yet. There's things I want to achieve and things I want to do with it. Not personally in my own home or anything, but I wouldn't mind, heading off and doing like an ayahuasca ceremony, like Dave did, and sort of
hell of an experience that would be.
Like confronting my shadow, sort of like all the negative shit that's been collected up all these years.
I find when I start dwelling on things that happened in the past and start stressing over things that, for example, like what are happening now that we spoke about earlier, obviously my mood changes. Of course it will. That's a given. But what will happen is when my stress levels increase, then things start happening in quite possibly the unconscious mind, especially when I'm asleep. So I suffer from sleep paralysis. I can't remember what the actual term is now off the top of my head. Sleep apnea, that's the one.
Yeah.
So when I start going into a complete stressful state, that's when these fucking not dreams or whatever you want to fucking call them start happening, where I become paralyzed in my sleep, can't fight, can't help it. And the worst ones are when I'm really uber stressed and I get them, because that's when the only way I describe it is the Dementor from fucking Harry Potter will come through my bedroom door, and I'm fucking trying to get my missus' attention because I think I'm awake. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get the missus' attention, but I can't move. I'm trying to shout, nothing's happening, and this thing is coming at me to try and, in my eyes, take my soul away. And it is scary. It's horrible. My missus has been there, obviously, because she sleeps next to me, but she's been there a few times where I'm like going into that fucking state, and I'm starting making these funny noises like I'm drowning somehow. And then she's trying to wake me up, but I can see her waking me up, but I can't move to then wake myself up. It's horrible, mate. It's disgusting.
No, fucking dreams are horrible, man.
Yeah, especially those ones. Like, they're fucking disgusting. But
Honking.
I've had them since a kid, mate. and I put it down to obviously the raising in levels of stress and if the horrible fucking anxiety and depression start trying to grab hold of me a little bit, that's when it happens. And like my brother said to me yesterday, he was like, mate, you've been bullied since you were 4 years old, and you've always managed to deal with it in the end. So it's not something new, which is kind of a crazy thing when you think about it. Since like nearly 30 years, I've always had some sort of bullying and that, which I never really thought about until I obviously started writing my book and started talking more, speaking to the therapists and what have you, and having that at the back of my mind is like, oh, that's probably why I take things to heart a bit more than I should, instead of having well, fuck that sort of stuff. It's I've always had people there that have always tried to knock me down, you know what I mean? And that sort of stuff always sort of comes back at me, especially now in sleep and things like that, and people coming at you thinking that you're making stuff up and all that. It's just nonsense at the end of the day. And yeah, you just got to try and smash through it and find different ways of, like you did with the psychedelics. I use CBD oil, which I use daily to try and get rid of anxious thoughts and feelings and what have you.
Has it worked?
I wholeheartedly believe it works, the CBD oil, but I've never been one to like light up a spliff or anything like that to see if marijuana helps as much as the likes of Joe Rogan say it helps and things like that. I've never done any of that. But the oil itself, to be honest, I don't know if it's because I've been told that it works well, so it's like a placebo effect. So I'm like, well, it works. Yeah. So I'm telling myself it works, or whether it actually fucking works. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those strange ones, and I find that with a lot of things. Like, is that bothering me because someone's told me it bothers me, or is it actually bothering me? Yeah, so I think you get that with a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I tried CBD oil. I tried CBD 1, and for me, there was just that many out there that you couldn't physically go around and buy every one to figure out which one works for you. Yeah. So I tried CBD 1, and it did work. Sort of anxiety did lift slightly, but it's an expensive, unless you know somebody who makes it, or you can get like a decent discount, or unless you've got the money to do so. Like it can become an expensive sort of self-prescribed sort of drug, so to speak. I mean, it did work, but I couldn't really afford to keep up with it at the time.
Yeah. I'm quite lucky in that aspect of it. As I said, Infusion gift me every now and then a little tube, or they'll send me the gummy sweets, which are very Moorish. Fucking, I could have eaten them all, mate. But I was like, no, I've got to ration myself on these. So I was lucky in that aspect. But I did use a few other companies before I actually tried Infusion, and Infusion actually suits me perfectly. And again, it's like everything. You find something that you click with, and if it works for you, then it works for you. But yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's finding what works for you. I mean, there's people out there who are taking prescribed drugs and they're not working, and they might find something that isn't so easy to get a hold of, or something maybe illegal, or maybe prescribed drugs are working for you. I know people that are taking sort of antidepressants and things like that, and it's working for them. But everybody's everybody's chemicals and the way the body works and the mind works is different.
Everybody's mind's different as well, which is a crazy thing. But I totally agree with you there, especially with the antidepressants and things like that. Going back to that, I'm not saying they don't work, by the way, listeners. because they do work.
No,
It worked for me perfectly fine. But I found that there were other aspects in my life that it was taken away from. A bit like you were saying, you can, when you were on certain things, your counting ability, etc., etc. I found that I was in a constant state of being numb, and other aspects of my life personally weren't working. We'll just leave it at that.
I don't know where you're going with this.
But yeah, so I had to make a decision. I made the wrong decision at first, where I just went cold turkey completely off them, and my mood went from balance to, oh shit, I'm down here again, and then all of a sudden I'm back up here again. It's like, no, Tommo, fucking control your focus yourself. Instead of, like I said earlier, I needed to be able to feel things. I didn't want to be numb, and that's where a lot of like going back again to getting the therapy that suits you as well. I take a lot of pride and inspiration from Al McGregor, who does Inner Armor, who I've spoke about countless times on here, through positive psychology and post-traumatic growth and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You basically finding the things that are your light when you go into a dark place. You've then got your torch, your candle to fucking bring you back out. Which luckily for me, I happen to have a very good support network around me, whether it's my wife, my kids, my brother, my dad, people like yourself who literally reach out to me if you've seen something or heard something's not right. You're like, are you all right? Do you want to have a quick chat? Fuck them, basically. That sort of thing. And having the likes of you and Steve Nichols, Chris Michaels, you know, those people who I've never met, but are also in like a support network bubble, you might say. You know, it's just golden, mate. I fucking love it. Having the fact that I've had people who I used to call friends that aren't, and you're like, well, how was I even your mate? And then it's like, but then I've got all these new people just through the power of social media, which is a double-edged sword. Because it does give people the ability to fucking throw shit at you. It does have that, but it also connects the likes of me and you, which is fucking boss. It's fucking brilliant. It's Ali or whatever you want to fucking say, and it's good, mate. But yeah, like I said, Al McGregor in the Inner Armor techniques taught me a lot about myself and about where my issues lied. And a lot of people who do throw a lot of crap and shade. When I went to do the Inner Armor course, I was surrounded by people that were full colonels, that were generals, that had MBEs, that led the fucking invasion into Iraq in 2003, etc., etc. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? But being around all those people, there was a bloke that was the top. He was the top commanding officer of the counter-terrorism unit for the Met Police that dealt with the 7/7 bombings and things like that. And I was like, why am I here with all these fucking people? I have a very limited knowledge on anything. And it's like, and then when you actually sat and spoke with them, they were like, we're all the same, mate. We've all got issues. We've all dealt with things differently. And being able to talk to each person, there's a couple that were a part of Rock to Recovery or are connected to Rock to Recovery, should I say, and the Royal Marine Charity. But sitting there and chatting with these full colonels and things like that, and they're like, no, Tommo, of course you're going to see things differently. Of course you're going to do this. And there's a whole new fucking support bubble that I've created through another thing. And so and it just helps knowing that there are people out there that aren't what I would call cunts. It's nice to have actual nice people like yourself. Like, you didn't have to come on the show and have a chat with me, but you were like, nah, we need to have a chat, get things done. And it's just refreshing, mate. You get a lot of shit. Like you said, you've had a lot of shit in the past as well. And it's like, it's nice to have people to talk to that lift your mood. Like, I was a fucking zombie earlier. When I went and did the food shop at Lidl, came home and my missus went, what's wrong with you? Why are you so grumpy still? It's like, well, you know why I'm still grumpy, but But now I've had a little bit of a heart to heart. I've had it open up, and a fucking episode of the show, and now I'm going to go back in there, and I'm going to be a fucking completely different person.
Yeah, that's what it's about, dude. I mean, again, it's your passion, isn't it? It's your new passion. It's what drives you, and what clears your head.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives you positive vibes and stuff. I mean, you touched on it earlier about social media, like about being a double-edged sword, and it fucking massively is. You can go on there and there's piles of negativity, more than positive. And if you've got negative people on there,
yeah,
or anything you don't want to see, even whether they're friends or not, I mean, just fucking get rid of them.
Yeah,
it'll make your day so much better. Just by removing that element of your life, because social media is such a massive part of everyone's life now. Everybody's got a phone. It's on the phone. I mean, there's certain things you can do to sort of, restrict the amount of use that you have with social media. Something that we try and implement is like having sort of days off it, or
yeah.
Maybe a Sunday, right? We're not touching social media. Put your phone down. We're going for a walk or something.
Yeah, we've been doing that. Yeah, we've been going out on walks. It's usually a Sunday, but then I found because on a Sunday also is my main day to record. This is a bonus, having the Smudge on a Saturday. But yeah, on a Sunday we'll go out and have a nice family walk, and it's like, right, I'll leave my phone in the car or whatever, or I'll leave it at home. It's like, I don't need it. Don't need to be fucking scrolling through Instagram just to see if I had a fucking extra like on a photo.
Yeah, it takes over you. It takes over your life.
It does, and sometimes I feel like I'll put a post where I've like taken a long time to write a decent narrative that goes with the photo, and I'm like, I haven't had many likes on this. This is, and then you look at someone else who's got a fucking thong bikini on, it's got 1,000 likes. So why is that getting oh, it's an ass. That's why. That's fine. But you know what I mean?
Wearing a fucking bikini, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna start taking fucking thong bikini shots with my fucking dad belly going on. But I know but yeah, it's the same thing. It works both ways for me. It's like, yeah, I can block and delete all these people, which I've done quite a bit of that over the last 2 days. But it also works for them as well. If I'm putting stuff out that you don't like, why comment on it? Just fucking go, I don't want to follow that. But whatever makes them happy. If it's making them happy to throw shit at me, crack on. It's not going to stick anymore.
Yeah. Just you could look at at the end of the day, they're constantly thinking about you. If they're that pent up, and let them waste the time, let them waste that fucking energy. Being a fucking dick, scrolling through social media, trying to find something that they can lay hate on. Just let them do it.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly.
And you crack on.
Yeah. So just gonna quickly touch back on your little company. I know you just said you don't like talking too much shop, but is it you that develops each design, or do you collab with someone else? Do you do the drawings and whatnot? Because it's a pretty fucking alley, mate, I must say.
So we've got a couple of artists that we use right now, and yeah, I mean, I'll come up with an idea. I'll give it a quick rough sketch, get me fucking crayons out and things.
Because the crayons you haven't eaten.
Yeah, red ones taste the nicest, man. So yeah, I'll do a quick sketch, and then I'll just collaborate with them, and we'll rattle through it until we get that particular design right.
Yeah.
But it's very simple. I mean, at first I started doing it all myself, but with my skill set, I could only take it so far, and I just was not getting the look that I wanted.
Yeah.
And it took forever to find. Yeah, I mean, it was, but you've just got to find a way for like to fight through that. And
yeah, sure.
And now we're kind of in a really good place with our artists, our products, and also our future ideas and where we want to be. I mean, as a business as well, and now and then you'll get like a message from people saying, "Hope you have a good one, lads." This and that. You know, everyone surmises that, you know, there's me and about 5 other squaddies or veterans doing this, but in the reality of it all, it's just me that runs the social media, does all the design work, product research, and various other things. And then my wife, she helps with the admin side of things, so she does the majority of the shipping and the accounts, things like that. So it's a joint effort between us both. And last year was just a fucking utter nightmare because she fell ill last January.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
So, I mean, it resulted, it took a year to get her fully back up and running. I mean, she's only just getting back on her feet, but it resulted in like a hysterectomy, and it was just utter fucking nightmare. So the brand pretty much got put on the back burner last year. I mean, I know there was COVID going on. There was bigger things going on, but to be honest, like it wasn't even in the back of our minds. We were just concentrating on what was going on in our own little family.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, she's good now, but like, she was like seriously ill. But yeah, I mean, it's just me and her, like doing the business.
The smudges against the world.
So,
and you have got the dogs as well, mate. You're a nice dog.
Yeah, I've got the two huskies.
Beautiful dogs, mate.
Jack and Luna. All they do is just fucking mess everything up, dude.
Yeah.
But, no, they're awesome.
I'm still trying to convince Kate to let me have a fucking dog. She's like, no, we ain't got time for a dog. I went, well, I do have time for a dog. She's like, no, we're not having one. So I'm trying to get the girls on side, especially the youngest, because she's got, as I would call, Puss in Boots eyes. So they're fucking ginormous. So it's like, give mummy the eyes and get me a dog. She's like, well, the dog won't get on with the cat. It's like, wow, they will. They'll be fine. Just let me have a damn dog.
We've got the 2 huskies and we've got the 3 Bengals. We've got 3 Bengal cats, and mate, fucking Zach hasn't eaten any of them, so yeah, they get on all right. Again, it's an excuse, isn't it? Like, there's nothing better than on a night or on a morning, just going for a walk with your animals.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to say to the missus. Like, I've had a few of my close mates that have said they've got dogs. They are unbelievable stress relievers as well, because they're just loving. Like, that's all you need. Just get a dog. So I might just
come in from work.
Might just sneak and get one
and you
just bring it home.
Yeah, you come in from work and your dog's there waiting for you, and no matter what, it's always going to be happy to meet and greet you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we need in life.
It's an awesome thing.
Yeah, mate, definitely. So what else you got planned for this weekend? Anything fun, exciting?
Well, the much anticipated Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier fight.
That is going to be a good fight, I think.
Yeah, so there's that, and I'm looking forward to the Mike Chandler fight. See how he gets on.
Yes,
with his debut in the UFC.
Because obviously a lot of people sleep on old Chandler, but he's a 3-time fucking world champion in different organizations, mate. He's a fucking animal.
Yeah, but Dan Hooker, dude, freaking
exactly. That's what I was literally just about to say the same thing. He's a bad matchup for Chandler because of how sneaky his strikes are and how good he is on the feet and what have you. I think they've pulled it out of the bag with this fight. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good one.
It is. It definitely is. I mean,
I was a little bit gutted on Wednesday with the result of my buddy Mason Jones.
I watched it.
I don't know if I had my fucking blinkers on, but I thought he'd done enough. I know he took a lot of damage, but he's got a Ricky Hatton face. He's got a lot of scar tissue. But what a hell of a fight though for your debut. You know what I mean? He's made a lot of waves there. I think. But it was the best but hardest fight I've ever watched. I think because personally being invested in it, obviously he's been on the show 4 or 5 times I think now. It was like, that's my mate, and there's this big fucking hard bastard that keeps blasting him in the face, and it's like, well, stop hitting my friend. But it was hard, mate. It was a hard watch, but I thought he did enough. But obviously the judges saw differently, and it is what it is.
They're quite ruthless, the judges, especially from those big events like the UFC and stuff. They're ruthless. You never know which way it's going to go.
Exactly.
When you've got...
and I was saying to my brother again, I think a lot of people would have been happy with a draw, but they just don't seem to like giving draws out for some reason. Because that could have gone either way, and I'm sure either fighter would have gone. That could have gone either way. But at the end of the day, he came out with fucking 50k, so I'm sure he's happy. I'm sure he'll put that somewhere to good use. Buy me a new shed.
Fight of the night, dude.
Seeing as he's guest of the year 2 years in a row, I'm sure he could get me a new shed if he wanted.
Get your new studio. Must be fucking Baltic in there, dude.
I've got a little heater on at the minute, and it's blasting away quite nicely. The one problem I have is because of the direct, literally the sun is directly on it, so I get a lot of condensation, which then obviously leads to fucking damp in here. So I come in every now and then, and the floor is soaking. It's like, Jesus Christ. But it seems to have settled down a little bit. I've had a bit of a change around.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a little change around, move some of my photos about because I was having a strop, and I was like, I don't want that being shown anymore. I had a little strop and got rid of some of the other bits and bobs. But it's coming along, mate. It's coming along. We're getting there. We've got to start somewhere.
So who have you got for the fights? Who have you got for the fights?
I'm actually going Poirier for the main event, and I think Poirier's come along a lot since their first fight, and I think he's a lot more patient, a lot more calm. He's not going to come at fucking McGregor like a bull in a china shop. And I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I still think that Conor's got his mind elsewhere. I know he looks like he's on point. He's doing his bit. But yeah, I still think that his mind is still firmly set on trying to get to in the business world, I think. But I also kind of hope that he proves me wrong, because there's nothing bigger than a McGregor fight.
No, I'm kind of hoping that it's either going to end early, Conor's going to end it early, or it's going to be a long drawn out fight. And I think if it becomes a long drawn out fight, then Poirier's got he's
got the edge on that. I think
he's got a
bit more durability.
Yeah, I mean, some of these fights that he's had with, fucking just left my head there.
Gaethje and Alvarez and
Justin Gaethje and all that fight with Gaethje was fucking unbelievable. Like, it was just non-stop. And if it turns into something like that,
he puts on a lot of pressure, and his striking skills are fucking brilliant. But McGregor, a lot of people still think that he's limited in his stuff. He wouldn't be where he is if he was limited. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I actually enjoy watching McGregor fight. A lot of people don't like him for whatever reason, because he's mouthy and what have you, but he's a fucking good fighter. And what he did to Cerrone was like the way he adapted it, smashed him in the face with his shoulder and whatnot. It's like he knows all these different fucking. Oh, I just think it's going to be a good fight, mate. It's going to be a good fight, definitely.
Yeah, I want Hooker to win. I want Hooker to win the co-main event.
Yeah.
Just for the simple reason he's like fucking New Zealand lad.
I like rooting for the underdog as well. I do like an underdog.
Yeah, I mean, but that one's going to be a really good fight. I mean, I've just got a feeling he's going to fucking try and take it to the ground though. I think Chandler's going to. I think he's going to get fucking smashed up on his feet, and he's just going to take it to the ground every chance he gets.
That's what happens.
But no, it'd be
dive in for a single leg, and you'll see Hooker do a flying knee to his face, a bit like fucking Masvidal.
Yeah. Or Venom Page.
Yeah.
Like when he fucking smashed what you call him?
Oh, fucking it was a cyborg, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Santos.
He smashed Cyborg and smashed him in the head.
Broke his
cranium. Ended his career.
Yeah. Cheers. So you want to be a fighter?
Mate, it's going to be epic, mate.
It is, mate.
I'm looking forward to it.
And me. I think we should knock it on the air there. You know, we've done a good hour and a bit.
Yeah, man. If you're happy with that, I mean,
yeah, mate. I'm good with that. I'll go in and because I've got to sort out some bits indoors with the missus, make sure she's all right and not fucking pacing about the house. But I find I'm going to try and do sort of not as long episodes because I was fucking knocking some out that were like 2.5 hours long, and it's like, well, who's got 2.5 hours to listen to me chat? But I also believe we touched on a lot of fucking hard-hitting subjects there, mate, as well. And what a lot of people got to realise is that everybody's different. And the Redcoat Apperal is fucking awesome. So make sure you buy some. Just saying.
No, I appreciate that, dude. Like, I'll just touch on, like, lastly, I mean, everybody's a fucking grown up in that, but like with regards to the psychedelic stuff and, you know, people suffering out there, like, don't just think like, oh, well, it's working for him, or, you know, he's doing this, I'm going to fucking give it a blast. Like, so it took, like, I was researching for like over a year, dude, before I got the balls to do it. And again, even every time I jump into an episode with it, you know, and have an experience, like, I'm still fucking nervous, and a lot of the time I struggle to do it. But you know, the main thing is like, do your research in it and make sure your fucking head's in a good place.
Yeah, don't go in blind and in a really bad fucking headspace, because you will.
And by yourself, like, if make sure you've got someone sober around you to look after you. But that's from that point of view. That's all I wanted to say. But like, fucking, you know, again, like, a shout out to, you know, all the guys who fucking support me, like yourself, Bravo Company Coffee, got Seawolf Crafts, Raise the Black Flag over in the States, Robust Tours, Mad Dog Adventures. You know, there's fucking loads out there that support the brand, but those are the main ones that.
Yeah, same. I can pretty much list exactly the same people, mate. Obviously, I have a few others, like the Dark Side podcast with Chris Michaels, who helped me write the Granite Zero book, which has got mixed reviews. But also things like Infusion CBD, my brother, and what have you. That all these people that stick by you are the ones that you want to listen to, not the fucking knobheads that think they know it all. But yeah. But once again, Smudge, cheers for giving me your time and coming on to the show.
No, anytime, man. Anytime. I really appreciate the invite.
Definitely get you back on, mate, 100%. And I
appreciate it.
Take a few more experiences and have a good chat about it. All right, mate.
We'll see how we get on.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, dude.
Stay safe, mate.
You too, bro.